Unraveling the link between oil extraction and earthquakes, University College London reports over 100 small earthquakes in Surrey might have been caused by oil drilling nearby, according to UCL research. A series of more than 100 small earthquakes in Surrey in 2018 and 19 might have been triggered by oil extraction from a nearby well, suggests a new study by UCL researchers. The earthquakes, which occurred in New Dygate and surrounding areas April 2018 until early 2019, were recorded as being between 1.34 and 3.18 magnitude and were linked to cracks in walls and ceilings and other damage to people's homes, with reports of houses and beds shaking. Geologists have been divided over whether these earthquakes could have been triggered by extraction at the Horse Hill Well in Horley, about 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers away. That's about 3 to 6 miles away. Some researchers argued that the pattern of earthquakes did not correspond to the oil extraction, with periods of increased extraction not followed directly by an increase in seismic activity. So the new study published today, January 10, Geologic Magazine, ran more than 1 million simulations estimating the frequency of earthquakes based on the timing and volume of oil extraction, and found the model predictions roughly matched what occurred, suggesting a link between the extraction of the oil and the earthquakes. Lead author Dr. Matthew Fox, UCL Earth Science, said, "Our study suggests there is a link between the earthquakes and oil extraction at Hill Horse, but we cannot rule out that this link is a coincidence. More work needs to be done to understand if this is the cause and effect. However, our findings indicate it's plausible that oil extraction triggered the earthquakes." The legal and environmental concerns. Oil extraction at Horse Hill was stopped in October after planning permission was quashed in a landmark legal case. Supreme Court judges ruled that the full climate impact of the project should have been considered before Surrey Council approved it. However, another project has received council approval to conduct exploratory drilling in Balcombe, West Sussex. This is subject to a legal challenge by a residents' group, with the case expected to be heard by the Court of Appeal this month, January 2025. Oil extraction alters the fluid pressure within the rock it is drawn from. This pressure change can spread underground over distances of tens of kilometers, potentially reaching a fault, a fracture where two blocks of rock meet, and the rate at which this pressure change travels depends on the rock's permeability or how easily fluids can move through it. Since faults are often under significant stress, even a slight change in pressure can trigger a rapid shift in the rock, resulting in an earthquake. For the new study, the researchers used a mathematical model to predict the number of earthquakes that might occur based on how much oil had been extracted, accounting for the two different rock types that oil was extracted from. And as much key information is unknown, for instance, what the time lag would be from extracting oil to an earthquake occurring, the team used a Bayesian machine learning tool that randomly varied unknown parameters such as time lag. Building on the work of the late University of Glasgow geologist Dr. Rob Watersway, the researchers were able to account for oil extraction switching between two different rock types, with one, Portland rock, being 1 million times more permeable than the other, Kimmeridge, meaning the lag time between extraction and potential induced earthquake would be a matter of days rather than weeks. Although the earthquakes began just before oil extraction started, the researchers said these earthquakes could have been triggered by preparatory work, for instance, checking the pressure in the well, which could have led to a similar pressure change traveling underground to the fault line. The researchers said the picture was complicated by the fact that seismometers, instruments detecting ground vibrations, were installed in the area only after the first larger earthquakes had occurred. Any smaller earthquakes that might have occurred prior to these instruments being installed were not recorded. This highlights the need for detailed seismic monitoring before oil extraction begins at proposed sites. Co-author Professor Philip Meredith said our study highlights the importance of monitoring seismicity of areas where oil extraction might occur before any work starts. Caution should be the byword, and it's no good saying you do not have a problem when you potentially do. There has been no significant seismic activity in Surrey for decades, so these earthquakes were unusual events. However, unusual events do happen in nature, so we can't rule out the possibility that the timing associated with oil extraction was a coincidence. Let's remember that Britain has a lot of magma underneath. That's why it has a lot of hot spring baths and spas, one of them being the city of Bath, another one being Leamington Spa, and a lot of other areas. This is by University College London on Science Daily. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.